So I'm requesting Bhushanji to introduce today's speaker.
Namaste everyone. Welcome to the third of the auspicious series of lectures of Shrāvanī Purnima, which is a festival of studying Vedas. It is known as Swadhyaya Parva. In this festival, people get connected to the Vedas, which are the root scriptures of Sanatana Dharma and the source of righteous knowledge. Shrāvanī evolves from the word Shravana, in case it's new to some people, which means listening. It is the first step in Swadhyaya, one's own study of the Vedas, which leads to self-introspection and evolution. Thanks to Acharya Suryanandaji's initiative, Arya Samaj Greater Houston, for the first time, is conducting a lecture series this year on the occasion of Shrāvanī Purnima, which, as you all know, started with the rare occurrence of blue moon a couple of days back. In this Shrinkla, there are a series of lectures of scholars on different subjects for 4 days. Today is the third lecture of the series by Dr. Vivek Arya ji on the topic of myths and reality of Manu Smriti. As most of us know, Manu Smriti is an ancient legal text or Dharma Shastra of Hinduism. It describes the social system from the time of the Aryans. Our country had, by all accounts, an advanced civilization and culture at that time, which dated back to 3500 BC, or even maybe before 6,000 to 8,000 BC, according to some historian accounts. As a brief introduction of Dr. Vivek Arya ji, he is a pediatrician by profession. By passion, he works for the propagation of Vedic philosophy. He is writer and editor of over 15 books on Vedic philosophy and Arya Samaj in Hindi and English. He has authored some 300 articles in Hindi and English, associated with boys and girls gurukuls in Kerala. He runs Navchetan Prakashan that publishes Vedic books. As motivational speaker, his favorite topics are Swami Shraddhanand, Pandit Lekharam, Manu Smriti, which we are going to hear about today, history of Arya Samaj, Christianity, Islam, and comparative study of religions. He also established the Swami Jagdishwarananda Library with a collection of over 3,000 books, among which several are rare gems and magazines of Arya Samaj. Dr. Vivek Arya ji will treat us on the myths and reality of Manu Smriti today. As housekeeping, if I may request, please keep your mics muted throughout the presentation, but you can keep your cameras on. And at any time, you can type in your questions in the chat box. We will not ask questions by audio at this point in time or during the presentation. And then I'll consolidate these and present them to Dr. Vivek ji after his talk. Vivek ji, it's an honor and pleasure to introduce you, and now it's all yours to start your presentation. Thank you.
Gurudev ji, kindly share the slides, please.
Yeah. Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good morning. Namaste. Sabhi ko namaste. First of all, I will like to thank all the officials and Suryadev ji, Acharya, and Acharya Brahmdev ji, Vidyasagar Garg ji, whom I know from many years, and this is the first time I got opportunity to speak in front of Arya Samaj Houston and its dignitaries. I will come on the topic. As Verma ji rightly mentioned that this is a series going on Shravani Parv. Shravani Parv, the word Shravani came from Shravan. Shravan means to listen. And it is the Vedas we start listening on this occasion. There is a word known as Chaturmasa, means 4 months, means 120 days. So whatever ancestor used to start, they used to read Vedas for continuous for 120 days daily on this occasion. That's why it's known as Chaturmasa. And this is a period of enlightening your soul, removing your inner dirt, and cleaning yourself and progressing in your life. So I took this lecture of Manu Smriti now because there is a lot of confusion about Manu Smriti. In USA, we have specific lobbies, like might have heard about Wendy Doniger, you have heard about Sheldon Pollock, and many other people. They are working day and night in USA to do propaganda against our Vedic philosophy. And Manu Smriti is one of the book they routinely target because they find it comfortable to target. And this is leading to downfall of our philosophy because ours is a Vicharik Andolan. Means here, what is Arya Samaj? Arya Samaj is a Vicharik Andolan. And we need to be enlightened on our topics, our scriptures, so that we do not fall in a trap of others. So we start with the topic today. Why oppose Manu Smriti? Next slide, please. So who was Manu? हम अपनी वैदिक सभ्यता में पढ़ते हैं कि सृष्टि के आरंभ में अनेक युवक और युवतियों को ईश्वर ने उत्पत्ति किया. And then among all of them, 4 was chosen as Agni, Vayu, Aditya and Angira. इन चारों के हृदय में वेदों का ज्ञान प्रकाशित किया. At that time, there was no need of law. All were good souls. Their population was very less. There was lot of stuff was everywhere available. सब संसाधन मौजूद थे. किसी प्रकार की कोई अव्यवस्था नहीं थी. With the advent of time, the number of people start increasing. And a point came, एक समय आया कि हमें एक व्यवस्था की आवश्यकता हुई. जब जनसंख्या बढ़ने लगी, तब उस काल के जो भी वाइज पीपल थे, अच्छे लोग थे, उन्होंने एक मीटिंग किया और ये डिसाइड किया कि नाउ वी नीड ए किंग, वी नीड ए एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, वी नीड ए लीडर. एंड उन लोगों ने चारों तरफ देखा तो उस काल में उन्हें जो सबसे सही व्यक्ति लगा, उन व्यक्ति का नाम था ऋषि मनु. तो वे सब लोग इकट्ठे होकर दे गैदर एंड अप्रोच्ड हिम एंड रिक्वेस्टेड हिम that we need a king, we need a ruler, we need a real law. So you accept our proposal and you become the first king of our cult. And Manu accepted their proposal and he became the first ruler and first lawgiver. So this law is known as Manu Smriti, which was designed by Manu on basis of Vedic philosophy, on basis of fundamentals and principles of Vedas, so that the whole humanity can follow it and prosper. So this is the history of Manu and Manu Smriti. Next slide, please. So but we face more about the doubts related to Manu Smriti rather than the facts. Why we face the doubts, we will come here. The first most common doubt is that Manu Smriti supports caste system. Manu was the one who started casteism. According to caste system, you might have heard about 4 words: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. The Manu was one who discriminated, who adopted caste system, who gave more privilege to the Brahmins, who kept the Shudras as in the downward position. This is the myth. This is not a fact. We will learn how. Did really we want to know that? Did Manu really supported the caste system? No. Answer is why. There are 2 words. One is caste system and other is Varna Vyavastha. The confusion is created because the people do not understand what is the difference between caste and Varna. We will come now. What is the Varnas? So what is Varna? Varna is something. One in Hindi we say वन का अर्थ है चयन करना या चुनना. व्यक्ति अपनी रुचि, योग्यता और कर्म के अनुसार इसका स्वयं वर्ण करता है. इसका नाम वर्ण. So Varna is one which is adopted in the later part of life based on qualities, qualification, and interest of any person. This is Varna. On the other hand, we see caste. Caste is adopted not in the later part of life. It is assigned with the birth according to the family background. So this is the difference between caste and Varna. According to Vedic philosophy, there are 4 types of Varna: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. What are they? Let us go ahead. So what are the duties of a Brahmin? Manu says, Brahmin के कार्य है विधिवत पढ़ना और पढ़ाना, यज्ञ करना और कराना, दान प्राप्त करना और सुपात्रों को दान देना. Means read himself, teach the others, perform daily duties, give donation to the real good people. This is the duties of a Brahman. Next slide. What are the duties of a Kshatriya now? Kshatriya means leader. The leaders is to read, to do good works, noble deeds, to help others, प्रजाओं का पालन पोषण करना, रक्षा करना, सुपात्रों को दान देना, धन ऐश्वर्य में लिप्त न होकर जितेंद्रिय रहना. These are the duties of a Kshatriya. And what are the duties of a Vaishya? Duties of a Vaishya is पशुओं का लालन पोषण, सुपात्रों को दान देना, यज्ञ करना, विधिवत अध्ययन करना, व्यापार करना, धन कमाना, खेती करना. These are the daily need works which are assigned to a Vaishya. And what about the Shudra? The duty of a Shudra is to help all these people to do their job, to help them, to support them. So why Manu divided this system of classification of Varna? We should know this. Every person is having different qualities. Every person is having different stamina to work. Every person is having different interest. So Manu said that right job to right people. This is the concept. You qualify, you educate, then your Varna is decided based on your qualities. His aim was to assign the right job to the right people. This is the basic concept. So a person is given opportunity to read in his life, to educate, and when his education is completed, he is assigned a degree by his teachers, by his university, by his colleges, based on his qualification. This degree denotes his Varna. Even today, the same principle is being followed. Son of a doctor is not a doctor on the basis of as he is born to a father, his father is a doctor. He will be only called as MD when he joins a university and qualifies his test, his exams, and get himself a knowledge. Then only he is considered as a doctor. This is the concept of Varna. So Varna is decided after completion of education on the basis of qualification. This is a very simple words I am using. Next slide, please. So where the confusion comes? The confusion comes when people start considering Shudra as something who is an inferior person, as something who is having a low status in the society. But if we see the Vedas, we will find that nowhere it is mentioned that a Shudra is an inferior or a person with a lower status. Note how in Vedas, the Shudra word is mentioned for about 20 times, and nowhere it is mentioned in a inferior way. And Veda nowhere says to discriminate any person who is a Shudra, to deny him right to read and propagate the Vedas, and to deny him his 5 daily duties. Nowhere the Vedic philosophy says that you should discriminate any person on if he is a Shudra. And in Vedas, total 20 times the word Shudra comes in different Vedic mantras. I will give you some examples. Like this is the example from Yajurved 26/2. This is the reference. So in this Vedic mantra, it says, हे मनुष्यों, जैसे मैं परमात्मा सबका कल्याण करने वाली ऋग्वेद आदि रूप वाणी का सब जनों के लिए उपदेश कर रहा हूँ, जैसे मैं इस वाणी का ब्राह्मण और क्षत्रियों के लिए उपदेश कर रहा हूँ, शूद्र और वैश्यों के लिए भी मैं इसी प्रकार से उपदेश कर रहा हूँ. So the message is very clear. This Vedic mantra was very favorite mantra of Swami Dayananda. He said that those who say Shudra cannot read Vedas and you should punish him if he do so. This fact comes in the Middle Age. Originally, the Vedas do not say that you should not deny any person the right to read and propagate the Vedas. This is the mantra which completely says no, Vedas is for all for one. Next slide, please. So in this Atharvaveda, it says, प्रार्थना है कि हे परमात्मा आप मुझे ब्राह्मण का, क्षत्रियों का, शूद्रों का और वैश्यों का प्यारा बना दें. अर्थात everyone should have a good relation with all for one. Next slide. यजुर्वेद again says, हे परमात्मा आपकी कृपा से हमारा स्वभाव ऐसा हो जाए कि ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य और शूद्र सभी वर्णों के लोगों के प्रति हमारी रुचि हो, सभी वर्णों के लोगों के प्रति हमारा बर्ताव सदा और प्रेम प्रीति का रहे. It is a very clear message. So Manu Smriti again says that Varna is a changeable idea. It is not permanent. It is not rigid. It is not forever. We will see the evidence here now. Manu Smriti 10/64 shloka says, any Brahman can become a Shudra and any Shudra can become a Brahman. Any Kshatriya can become a Vaishya and all these can interchange. This is a clear-cut message from Manu that Varna are interchangeable. They are not rigid. They are not, because Varna is not based on birth. It is based on your qualification. Next slide. Again it says, Manu Smriti Shlok 9/335, it says, any शरीर और मन से शुद्ध पवित्र रहने वाला, उत्कृष्ट लोगों के सानिध्य में रहने वाला, मधुरभाषी, अहंकार से रहित, अपने से उत्कृष्ट वर्ण वालों की सेवा करने वाला शूद्र भी उत्तम ब्राह्मण जन्म और द्विज वर्ण को प्राप्त कर लेता है. Any person doing the right things, he can achieve a higher qualification, higher status based on his qualities. This is the clear message from Manu. A Shudra can become a Brahman. And there is vice versa also. That if a person do not perform his duties, he will be having a downfall of his status and he can become a Shudra. This is also Manu is very clear in this shloka. And a person, जब तक व्यक्ति वेदों की शिक्षाओं में दीक्षित नहीं होता, वह शूद्र के ही समान है. This is, if a person is uneducated, he will be like a Shudra, and if he is educated, he can become a Brahman. This is the message by Manu. And ब्राह्मण वर्णस्थ व्यक्ति श्रेष्ठ अति श्रेष्ठ व्यक्तियों का संग करते हुए और नीच निचतर व्यक्तियों का संग छोड़कर अधिक श्रेष्ठ बनता जाता है. इसके विपरीत आचरण से पतित होकर वह शूद्र बन जाता है. दिस इज अ क्लियर श्लोका विच सेज अबाउट डाउनफॉल ऑफ एनी पर्सन if he do not follow the rules, if he goes into bad company, if he start progressing in his life, if there is downfall, his varna is changed. This is the message of this shloka. Next please. जो ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय या वैश्य वेदों का अध्ययन और पालन छोड़कर अन्य विषयों में ही परिश्रम करता है, वह शूद्र बन जाता है. This is a clear message of how a person become a Shudra if he do not progress in his life. Next please. How a person become a Brahman. The Manu says, पढ़ने पढ़ाने से, चिंतन मनन करने से, ब्रह्मचर्य के पालन से, अनुशासन से, सत्य के भाषण से, व्रतों का पालन करने से, परोपकार आदि सत्कर्म करने से, वेद विज्ञान आदि पढ़ने से, कर्तव्य का पालन करने से, दान करने से और आदर्शों के प्रति समर्पित रहने से मनुष्य का यह शरीर ब्राह्मण का किया जाता. Very clear message that if a person follow these rules, he can become a Brahman. And what about the people who just keep a name of Brahman but they do not follow the rules? Manu says, जैसे लकड़ी से बना हाथी और चमड़े से बना हुआ हिरन सिर्फ नाम के हाथी और हिरन ही है, वैसे ही बिना पढ़ा हुआ ब्राह्मण केवल मात्र नाम से ही ब्राह्मण है. नेम सेक ओनली is not a true Brahman. This is what the Manu says. And what about the Dvija word? A word came here, Dvij. Dvij means twice born in the English. First birth is from the woman womb, mother's womb, but the second birth is when a person education is completed. Then a person is known as, this is the real birth. First is only the physical birth, but Manu says that वेदों में पारंगत आचार्य द्वारा शिष्य को गायत्री मंत्र की दीक्षा देने के उपरांत ही उस मनुष्य का वास्तविक जन्म होता है. So this is the real birth of a person. माता पिता से उत्पन्न संतति का माता के गर्भ से प्राप्त जन्म साधारण जन्म है. वास्तविक जन्म तो शिक्षा को पूर्ण करने के उपरांत ही होता है. So those people who say that casteism is based on the birth, but which birth? The Vedic philosophy says that real birth is after the completion of qualification. It's not from the birth of from the mother. Very important that Brahman, Kshatriya and Vaishya, all ये तीन वर्ण विद्या अध्ययन से दूसरा जन्म प्राप्त करते हैं, और जो विद्या अध्ययन नहीं कर पाता वो शूद्र वर्ण. Any person if given an opportunity to read, write, but he is not able to read and not able to educate himself, then he will be considered as a Shudra, not on the basis of birth. This is a very good message by Manu. Conclusion. Whatever we read now, we come to the conclusion that Manu Smriti nowhere supports caste system. It speaks about Varna Vyavastha, and everyone is Shudra by birth. Janmata jayate Shudra. But by qualification, everyone achieves a higher status in his life, and his Varna is decided on the basis of his qualification. This is the take-home message. There is no confusion in it. All the confusion is when the people start misinterpreting one Vyavastha with the caste. Next slide. So, a caste Varna is decided by after completion of education. A son of a Brahman will be not considered as a Brahmin until he do not achieve his qualification. Till then he will be a Shudra. Next slide. And what those people who speaks that Manu Smriti discriminates between a Brahmin and a Shudra, we see the punishment. Manu says for a same crime, similar crime, a person, if he's a Brahman, he should be punished 16 to 128 times more than a Shudra for a same crime. Have you seen this law in any constitution of any world, part of the world? No. But Manu Smriti says, take an example. If an uneducated person do a crime, he do the crime due to his ignorance. He is not knowing about that crime, so he do it. And if an educated person engages knowingly and engages in a wrong work, in a crime, criminal work, he do something wrong, but he is knowing that he is doing it wrong, but he do not stop it and he engages himself in that work, he will be punished 16 to 128 times according to Manu. So this difference, this shloka very clearly says a Brahman should be punished more than a Shudra for a similar crime. Who say, if we take this example as a model example from Manu Smriti, who says that Manu discriminates against Shudra and it gives favor to a Brahman? This is a clear-cut example. And some people says that Shudra is not considered as Arya, but Manu says no. Shudra, all four varnas like Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, all are four varnas are considered as a Arya varna. Next, please. So, how did the problem of confusion is come? From where it come? It came in the Middle Ages due to interpolations, intermixing, adulteration. Because earlier there was no printing technology, all the shloks and everything were written on the Tad Patra. So it was very easy for few people to misinterpret it, to give favor to their own knowing siblings or further generation. They started intermixing some shlokas. Dr. Surendra Kumar, who was a Vice Chancellor of Gurukul Kangadi University and a pass out of Gurukul Jhajjar, in 1980s, he published his works on Manu Smriti and he analyzed every shloka from the Manu Smriti available, and he found out that out of 2,685 shlokas, 1,471 were interpolated. Means even more than real. So only 1,214 shloks were right and others were interpolated. And he used different criteria to define them. These criteria were Vishay Virod, Prasang Virod, Avantar Virod, Punarukti, Shaili Virod, and Ved Virod. If we read these criteria in the preface of his book, he has clearly defined what are these criteria. And based on these criteria, he established this fact that more than 50% Manu Smriti is adulterated, interpolated. This is the cause of the confusion. And the credit of establishment of this fact that Manu Smriti is interpolated, it goes to Swami Dayananda. So the idea, it was Swamiji who pioneered the idea of interpolation after analyzing the Manu Smriti. And he said that in Rigvedadi Bhashya Bhumika, he clearly said that Prakshep Rahit Manu Smriti means Vishuddha Manu Smriti is the only acceptable, not the interpolated one. And his idea was supported by Sir William Jones, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Rabindranath Tagore, Mahatma Gandhi, and other person in there. So there, again, the credit of interpolation concept goes to Swami Dayananda, who clearly defined this. Conclusion. जातिवाद शूद्रों को नीचा बताने वाले मनुस्मृति के मिलावटी श्लोकों को अस्वीकार कर शूद्र को जन्म नहीं अपितु कर्म के अनुसार विभाजित करने वाली मनोविदित वर्ण व्यवस्था को स्वीकार करने में ही सभी का हित है. Today, even if we see the jobs in the government sector or private sector, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, there are 4 types of classes in the jobs. Any person who is well educated, he will be qualifying, he qualifies and he will be choosing, he will apply for the according to his class. A person who is uneducated, he will apply for only for the class 4 jobs. So this is a one Vyavastha system which is being followed in the job sector if we see it. So reject the wrong part of Manu Smriti and accept the right part. This will help us in confusion of this doubt. So this was doubt number 1, which is very common. Now we go to the doubt number 2. We have many mothers and sisters and all here who are listening this. They might have faced this doubt that was Manu against womanhood? And did Manu discriminated against women? I have read about Wendy Doniger in her book Hinduism and Alternative History. She is clearly speaking that Manu was misguided and he discriminated against womanhood. So we will come now to this analyze that was really Manu against womanhood. Next slide, please. This is a very, very famous shloka from Manu Smriti. Very famous. Yatra narestu pujyante ramante tatra devta. Yatra nastu na pujyante sarvas priya afala priya. Manu's 3/56. All women should remember this shloka. What is the meaning? It says that, next slide, जिस समाज या परिवार में स्त्रियों का सम्मान होता है, where all women are respected in the society or in the family, वहां देवता अर्थात दिव्य गुण और सुख समृद्धि निवास करते हैं. The wise people reside there and there is a lot of happiness and prosperity there. और जहां इनका सम्मान नहीं होता, where the woman is disrespected, वहां अनादर करने वालों के सभी काम निष्फल हो जाते हैं. All the works, that family or that society, they are definitely, their future is dark and they are going to face downfall if they do not respect the woman. Such a great words by Manu for the whole world. The next shloka says, पिता भाई पति या देवर को अपनी कन्या बहन स्त्री या भाभी को हमेशा यथा योग्य मधुर भाषण भोजन वस्त्र आभूषण से प्रसन्न रखना चाहिए और उन्हें किसी भी प्रकार का कलेश नहीं पहुंचने देना चाहिए. So it's duty of all the male members of the family to support all the female members and give them due respect. This is what Manu says. Again it says, जिस कुल में स्त्रियां अपने पति के गलत आचरण अत्याचार या व्यभिचार आदि दोषों से पीड़ित रहती हैं, वह कुल शीघ्र नाश को प्राप्त हो जाता है. और जिस कुल में स्त्री जन पुरुषों के उत्तम आचरणों से प्रसन्न रहती है, वह कुल सर्वदा बढ़ता रहता है. But such a nice words Manu says about that. In the family, all the person who follows the right path, the woman will be happy and vice versa. जो पुरुष अपनी पत्नी को प्रसन्न नहीं रखता, उसका पूरा परिवार ही अप्रसन्न और शोकग्रस्त रहता है. और यदि पत्नी प्रसन्न है तो सारा परिवार प्रसन्न है. क्लियर मैसेज. पुरुष और स्त्री एक दूसरे के बिना अपूर्ण है. अतः साधारण से साधारण धर्म कार्य का अनुष्ठान भी पति पत्नी दोनों को मिलकर करना चाहिए. There is a Vedic mantra. If we read about bhojan mantra, it is anpate anasya no dehami vasya sushmina prapadataram tari shurjam no dehi dvipade chatushpade. The last two words are dvipade and chatushpade. So this what dvipade means one having 2 legs and chatushpade means one having 4 legs. So what are these 4 legs? Few people says that these 4 legs are for use for animals, but no, in this mantra these 4 legs is being used for a married person. When you got married, a person bears 4 legs, 2 of him and 2 of his wife. So in this mantra it says to Ishwar that give us such good ann and other food and everything that helps us in promotion, help us in development of both of the family partners. So this is how the mantra says that in a family, everyone should prosper. So now we come to the influence of these Manu Smriti shlokas, that Manu Smriti clearly says about respect to the womanhood. We found many shloka in Manu Smriti which are opposite to this message. These shlokas are wrong. They were interpolated, and we should reject the wrong one and accept the right one. That is the influence and this will remove the confusion of the doubt that Manu was against, not against woman. Third, next slide. So we have completed two doubts. Now the third doubts, which is again a important doubt. It says that Manu Smriti supports animal killing. This is the one more point. Whenever there is a, although the whole of the West and most of the USA also and other countries, they in practically they are meat eaters, but they will defame Manu Smriti, that Manu Smriti speaks about killing of animals. So this is a dilemma. The next slide. Manu Smriti says against animal killing and eating meat. The shloka 11/95 says, मद्य, मांस आदि राक्षस और पिशाचों का भोजन है, देवताओं का हवन करने वाले ब्राह्मणों को इसे कभी नहीं खाना चाहिए. Never eat the meat. It is clear. Next slide. It is a very interesting shlok from Manu. Late Acharya Gyaneshwar ji from Rojad went to UK. He met a Gujarati family there. That Gujarati family was running a grocery store. He asked them that, do you eat, consume meat? They says that no. As we are Gujaratis, we do not believe in meat eating. We are pure vegetarian, even though we are residing in UK since last 30 years. But he asked them that in your grocery store, I am seeing that there is a meat in that corner. It's in the fridge. So they said that, he asked them, do you touch it? They said, the Gujarati family said that no, we do not consume meat. We do not even touch that corner. The delivery boy comes and he places that order in that fridge, and from that refrigerator, the person who wants to buy, they take them themselves. We never engage in eating the meat. We do not even touch that. So the question comes that, is it a sin? The Manu will explain this answer. Kindly share the slide, please. Here the Manu says, अनुमति देने वाला, शस्त्र से मरे हुए जीव के अंगों के टुकड़े टुकड़े करने वाला, मारने वाला, खरीदने वाला, बेचने वाला, पकाने वाला, परोसने या लाने वाला और खाने वाला, ये सब जीव वध में घातक हिंसक होते हैं. Any person who is saying to kill, any person who is preparing it, who is a butcher, who is cutting the meat, killing the animal, anyone who purchase from the market, he says, I am a vegetarian, I do not eat, but I will purchase it. Anyone who sells it, if he says, I do not eat it, but I sell it. Anyone who prepares it for the dining, that I am a vegetarian, my son eats, I am not a meat eater, that person also. And anyone who serves it, brings it, and last, anyone who eats it. All these persons are engaged in the sin of meat. This is what the Manu says. So, this is a very important message by Manu. Again, Manu says, जो मनुष्य अपने सुख की इच्छा से अहिंसक प्राणियों को मारता है, वह जीता हुआ भी मरकर कभी सुख नहीं पाता. Those who are engaged in meat eating, they will never get a peace. This is what Manu says. जो प्राणियों का बंधन और हत्या का कलेशों को नहीं करना चाहता, वह सर्वहितकारी अत्यंत सुख को प्राप्त करता है. So do not eat the meat. You will be having a good peaceful life if you do not eat it. This is what Manu says. In friends, so we get two types of shlokas in Manu Smriti. One says not to eat, other says to eat. Those shlokas which says to eat, they are interpolated, they are adulterated. Reject the adulterated part and accept the real one. This is the inference of this talk. Next one. Till now, I have cleared the three doubts, common doubts, but few people might have having a question that why the Manu Smriti is so important. In today's era, we are so advanced, we are so modern. Why do we need the Manu Smriti? Here is the answer. Manu Smriti teaches morality. Manu Smriti says, वेदों और स्मृतियों में जो कहा गया है, जो आचरण है, वही सर्वश्रेष्ठ धर्म है. इसलिए आत्म उन्नति चाहने वालों को चाहिए कि वह इस श्रेष्ठ आचरण में निरंतर प्रयत्नशील रहे. मनुस्मृति teaches about daily conduct, about the moral life. Next. So dharma, what is dharma? What the definition of dharma is taught in Manusmriti. This is a shloka from Manusmriti. Dhriti dam shama dam asteyam shocham indriyam nigrah dhi vidya satya akrodho dashaka dharma lakshana. 10 lakshan of Manusmriti. This is a very good shloka. It was a favorite shloka of Swami Dayanand. He even asked this question in Kashi Shastra that tell me what is धर्म के 10 लक्षण बताइए, धर्म की परिभाषा बताइए. It comes that धैर्य, क्षमा, मन को प्राकृतिक प्रलोभन में फंसने से रोकना, चोरी का त्याग, शौच यानी पवित्रता. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. इंद्रिय का निग्रह यानी संयम, बुद्धि, विद्या, सत्य और क्रोध न करना. ये धर्म के 10 लक्षण. So Manu is the one who tells us what is dharma, and also it tells us what is adharma, what to do and what not to do. Both are being taught by Manu. पराये धन द्रव्यों का ध्यान करना, मन से अनिष्ट चिंतन करना, तथ्य के विपरीत बातों में निवेश करना. These are the mental adharma which is taught by Manu. Next, please. And what about daily conduct adharma? Manu says what is adharma is कठोर और कटु वचन बोलना या लिखना, असंबंध प्रलाप करना अथवा संबंध न होते हुए भी किसी पर दोषारोपण करते हुए लिखना. नेक्स्ट, झूठ बोलना या लिखना, चुगली करना, चापलूसी करना. These are the verbal adharma done by anyone. This is also taught by Manu. And next, चोरी करना, अपहरण करना, डाका डालना, अवैधानिक हिंसा करना, to kill anyone. These all are adharma by general conduct. Next, पराई स्त्री का सेवन करना या छेड़छाड़ करना. So these total 10 types of adharma is taught by Manu. So Manu tells us what is dharma and what is adharma, what to do and what not to do. So in these all 20 points, they are related in your life as a day-to-day actions. So you cannot separate your life from these 20 points. So this is the importance and relevance of Manu. Next, please. And Manu gives us Adarsh Vivah Vyavastha. What should be ideal married life? This system first was implemented by Manu through the Manu Smriti. And Manu says that मनु के अनुसार वैदिक विवाह व्यवस्था में गुण, कर्म और स्वभाव के अनुसार शिक्षा पूर्ण होने के पश्चात बिना दहेज के विवाह का विधान. Manu gives in these shlokas about married life, ideal married life. It is what Manu says. At present, in the modern age, we see that the system of married life is going down. Lot of divorce cases and all cases we are hearing in India as well as abroad. Almost it's going to be same in the Indians. So if the Manu is followed ideally, this system of breaking of the families, breaking of the home, this system can be revised and repaired, and we can follow the ideal life. This is if we follow the Manu Smriti. So this is how the Manu Smriti is relevant. And 5 daily duties of our life: Brahm Yajna, Dev Yajna, Pitri Yajna, Balivesh Yajna, Atiti Yajna. All these 5 yajna, this system was propagated by Manu. So our 5 dharma, adharma, daily conduct, and 5 daily duties, all these were given by Manu. This is the relevance of Manu even in the today's age. Next, please. And we have 4 our divisions in our life. The starting 25 years of education is known as Brahmacharya Ashram. Then from 25 to 50 is known as Grihastha Ashram, married life. After 50 to 75, it is known as Vanprastha, means a preparation for the another level. And then the Sannyas Ashram means dedicated his whole life to the whole for the humanity. This whole Ashram Vyavastha, division of the life, was also given by Manu. Next, please. This is very important. Moral values in Manu Smriti. Manu says, गृहस्थ द्विज शत्रु, शत्रु के सहायक अधर्मी, चोर एवं परिस्त्री का कभी संग ना करे, और पुरुष की आयु घटाने वाला कोई भी कार्य नहीं है जैसा परिस्त्री गमन. So this is the morality. Manu is clearly speaking against व्यभिचार. Next, please. And day-to-day life, this shloka is very important. I will tell you the Hindi in the next slide. The shloka says that सदा प्रिय सत्य बोले, हितकारक सत्य बोले, अप्रिय सत्य कभी ना बोले, दूसरों के प्रसन्न करने के लिए भी कभी असत्य ना बोले. So Manu gives us how we speak, how we share our views with others. This is how the Manu says. And there are different type of knowledges. If we go in detail, we will see that Manu is speaking on Dharma Shastra, Samaj Shastra, Nyay Vidhi, Constitution, Darshan, Philosophy, Adhyatam, Spirituality, Rajniti, Politics, Yudh Kala, Management of and Niti Kala, Lok Prashashan, Bhasha, Language, Arth Shastra, Economics, Manu is speaking, Vanijya, about trade, Manu is speaking. These are the different chapters covered in the Manu Smriti, and these are very relevant in the day-to-day life. So we have heard about a term known as Ram Rajya. It was very famous term used by Mahatma Gandhi ji. And I'm quite sure that if these moral principles and teachings of Manu Smriti are followed by the society, our society will definitely become a Ram Rajya as it was in the earlier Vedic times. Next. So take home message. Manu says that विद्वानों को चाहिए कि सब धर्म शास्त्रों को ज्ञान की आंख से देखकर, वेद के प्रमाण से जांचकर अपने धर्म में श्रद्धा रखनी चाहिए. So we should have our faith in our Vedic philosophy. This is what the Manu says. Next, please. So few doubts. Now we can go for open session. Few doubts I will say. Today's we see that there are a lot of activism in being done on the name of SC, ST, and OBC and other Dalit lobbies are working, and they are clearly targeting Manu. Till now, whatever I have presented on Manu Smriti, nowhere the Manu speaks about these words. So Manu Smriti do not support caste system. And if anyone says that Shudra is considered to be inferior, like they will give an example of Vedic mantra which says that the head of a body is a Brahman, the arms and the shoulders are like a Kshatriya, the thighs are like a Vaishya, and the feet are like a Shudra. This Purushukta, this is the Purushukta. It is highly misinterpreted. The true interpretation is that if a person who is having a quality of thinking and guiding the society, he can work as a Brahman. He will be considered as a head because his responsibility is the most. That is the head. If a person who is brave, who is courageous, who is having administrative skills, who is having leadership skills, who can fight, who can defend, who can help the others who are downtrodden and in need, then that person can become a Kshatriya. If a person is having good business sense, he can bring prosperity to the nation, he can bring finance to the nation, and he can do export and import and other qualities. That person will be considered as a Vaishya. And a person who is not having all these qualities, he can help the other three Varnas. That person will be having a Shudra. So this Purushukta is being misinterpreted on the name of caste system. So if any person is coming who is a senior to us and whom we want to respect, we will touch his feet. If our feet are considered as Shudra, then why a person head goes down and touch a feet of the other person? That clearly shows that our feet are not inferior. They are a part of the same body. And जब ईश्वर की सत्ता में पंचभूत तत्व सभी के लिए समान है, सभी का शरीर एक समान है, सभी की जाति एक है, तो फिर उसे जातिवाद के नाम पर विभाजित करने वाला कौन है? We all are equal. हम सबकी एक ही जाति है, मनुष्य जाति. Next, please. And Dr. Ambedkar considered Shudra as Aryavarna. So this is again a propaganda going on name of Dalit activism, that those who were Mool Nivasi term is there being coined by them, that those who reside in India were Mool Nivasi and Arya people came from outside and they start ruling them. They push them towards the South India. This theory is wrong. Dr. Ambedkar considered Shudra as Arya and he never supported Aryan invasion theory. This is a propaganda. And Manu propagated Varna Vyavastha, not caste system. So the two terms Manuvad, Brahmanvad being coined by these activists, these two terms are totally wrong. There is nothing like Manuvad and Brahmanvad. It is Varna Vyavastha. And if we see our constitution, there are around 500 amendments in our Indian constitution till date, since it was released. So with the passage in last 75 years, if there are 500 amendments in our constitution, and Manu Smriti is so old, many amendments have been done by many people. So the fault here is the wrong amendments were done by the unknown people. The fault should be there, not of the Manu. While the people are unnecessarily criticizing Manu for the amendments for the wrong thing. And if my ancestor, if they followed caste system, how am I the culprit? If my father, my grandfather, my forefather, or anyone who believed in caste system, I do not follow it, I followed one Vyavastha, then why am I being criticized? This is just a political activism and propaganda. So our take-home message is reject the caste system, accept pure Manu Smriti, and remove the discrimination. So this is a copy of Manu Smriti in English. It is last year it was published. It's available. Those who are interested in reading Manu Smriti, they can purchase this copy from India. And it was translated by Pandit Satya Prakash Begu. And all the real right shloka, Vishuddha Manu Smriti, it is the English translation of that work. So I will advise those after my talk that those who are interested, they can get its copy. And next slide. This is the Hindi Manu Smriti, which was originally published by Dr. Surendra Kumar. Those who are comfortable in Hindi, they can purchase this book to understand the real basic and facts of the Manu Smriti. Next slide. This book was published by me last year, Manu Smriti Ko Jaane. This is a concise book of 120 pages. I have written it in Hindi for the readers because these days bulky books are not preferred by many people. Whatever I taught you today, all this is compiled in this book. And at present, its English translation is also started by same Dr. Pandit Satya Prakash Beguji from Mauritius. I think by next year, this year end, we might be able to make it available so that the Western readers and other outside India, they can read it. So we need to understand these basics, and this is the our own Vedic scripture. Lot of misconceptions are there. By reading, analyzing, and sharing our views, we can definitely remove these hurdles. And I am running this Arya Samaj page on Facebook. Anyone can click it, the picture, and they can join this facebook.com Arya Samaj, so that they can join me and read the daily articles being posted in Hindi and English in the both languages. Thank you. We are having now open session for the doubts. If few doubts are there in the chat, I will like to answer them.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek Arya ji. I think you have explained the true meaning and significance of Manu Smriti in the last 45 or so minutes, so beautifully, laying out the main precepts of this very important scripture. There are a lot of doubts about it, as we know from recent history. even well-educated people like Dr. Ambedkar misinterpreted it, and he actually burnt a copy of it in 1927, if I remember correctly, in opposition to it. But that's symptomatic, I believe, of the misleading or misinterpretation of a lot of our scriptures, which have been influenced by the West or by people who invaded us from outside and controlled us, and they wanted to distort our history to put us down. So thank you for giving us a lot of clarity on the subject of Manu Smriti. I have a few questions that we have from the audience. Number one is there's common propaganda that Manu, who authored Manu Smriti, is the first human on earth, and the same is called Adam by Abrahamic faiths. What are your views, please?
Yeah, the word Adam actually, Adam come from Adam. Adam is a Hindi word, Sanskrit words. Adam is its English interpretation. So Adam, who was the first Adam, is the Manu, because Manu is considered as the first lawgiver. So this word came from Manu only. It was with the advent of time, this word changed from its original form. That is the answer. So Adam is word for Adam in English. Adam means the first human.
Okay. But in terms of timings, I believe that must have been a little bit distorted in the, historical perspective of Adam versus.
Yes, definitely. Because I stated earlier that in the beginning of the Srishti, many youth, males and females, were created by the God, Ishwar. With that time, the number of the population start increasing. Then they need a lawgiver, and that first lawgiver was appointed. His name was Manu. So
Right.
This period of beginning, it took a few generation actually. It was not in a day. So that's why it's not from just from the beginning. We considered a beginning from the Manu, not from the beginning of the Srishti.
Right.
Two are different things.
Very true. Thank you. The next question is when, how, and why did Varna, the competencies-based social classification, turn into caste, the birth-based social classification? Is that from the feudal system that prevailed in the Western world?
This is a very nice question. Actually, it is a research question. I went in deep research for this answer to this query, and I found out that when our country was having a rule of Buddhist and Jains kings, this system came into practice. Actually, if we read history of Kumaril Bhatt, it will take some time to answer this question if you are comfortable.
Sure.
If we read the history of Kumaril Bhatt, we find that he joined a Buddhist Gurukula and pretending himself a Buddhist to learn the Buddhist scriptures. And he was a brilliant student, very fond of everyone. And he quickly excelled in his career. And a time came when he was exposed. Everyone came to know that he is a Vedic philosopher. And he was said that if he will be killed, he will face the result of his sin. If he is saved, then it means the Ishwar has not punished him. So Kumaril Bhatt jumped from the mountain and his life was saved. But for rest of his life, he was always in this point that I have taken the path of sin. I have done something wrong, and he always regretted it. So why I put this example that it is not that some Vedic philosopher joined a Buddhist Gurukul. It might be that vice versa also, that many Buddhist and Jains, they have also joined the Vedic Gurukul in those days. Even if we see the Adi Shankaracharya was poisoned by Jain sadhus, the two monks who themselves pretended to be a follower of Shankaracharya, they joined him, they poisoned him, and which led to his untimely death. So these are two examples I got from the history. It shows that in those days, this type of wrong behavior was being adopted by few persons. They were joining they were hiding their real identity and joining the different Gurukul. So in those days, some group of Vedic philosophers, they got together and decided how to stop this blunder. How can we stop the wrong people to join us? So they said that we change the system. Now we will teach only our kids. We will teach only in our families. We will stop taking outsiders. And in this way, with the time, they lost the real purpose. And when they see that benefit of teaching their own kids and denying the right to educate to other, this become prevalent and predominant. The idea of Varn Vyavastha changes into a caste system. This is how, and it is not this is not in one day. It took few centuries. Generation by generation start coming down and become rigid. That is how the Varn Vyavastha was changed in caste system. Our country was being divided into small kingdoms, not a single nation. And all the king was having affiliation. Some was Buddhist king, some was Jain king, and Vedic philosophy was limited only to few gurukuls in their families. That this system, this is the middle age of downfall. We call it as an era of darkness. This is how the system changed. I think I am satisfied with the answer.
Yes, yes, indeed, you are. That's a wonderful explanation. Thank you. The next question is it right to say that if people follow the 4 ashrams, Varna would only apply to the people in Grihastha ashram?
See, Varna is decided only after completion of education. So Brahmacharya ashram is already over. In Grihastha ashram, what is your profession is your Varna. So it is completely based on Varna Vyavastha. In Vanprastha ashram, you are having 50% stake of Grihastha ashram and 50% stake of Sannyas ashram. Means you are doing your daily jobs also, you are helping your family also, and you are starting doing some charity service to the nation also, but you are not fully detached. Your detachment is yet to come. But you are preparing for that detachment. So with the advent of time, as you got yourself prepared, it is like preparing yourself. But you will prepare in which field? As any sannyasi can be a good writer, any sannyasi can be a good singer. And if any person who wants to take sannyas ashram, but he is not having any quality of like this, so he will say, I will just sell the Arya Samaj Vedic books. I think you are able to understand. A person who has adopted sannyas, but he is not a good preacher, he is not a good writer, he is not a good manager, but he will adopt. He say, I can only sell Arya Samaj books. I will go in different function of Arya Samaj, and I will put a Vedic stall and I will sell these books. That is only I can do. So it means that he is doing his job according to his Varna. So in Sannyas ashram, it can be applied in this way. And if he's standing on the stage and teaching the other people, then he is following the Brahman ashram of Brahman Varna of Sannyas ashram. So actually, the line is little bit, it is based on your own interest, where you fits actually. Not everyone is I think I'm able to explain this by giving this example, that how a person can, and many times a person is doing job of all 4 varnas also.
Right.
We have seen Vidyasagar Garg ji, he's online, he's putting his stall in Chicago land. He's when there is a religious fair is there, all the persons of different communities are coming. He's putting his own stall by himself. He's making the tent and canopy, and he's putting the posters, and who else is coming, he's talking with them, clearing their doubts, introducing them to the Vedic philosophy, giving them material printed books and all that. So all 4 varna he's doing alone and there, and raising the Arya Samaj flag there. So it is not absolute line for a sannyas ashram. Any person is doing any job which is good, it is always good.
Thank you. Great explanation and good examples. The next question I think has already been answered, which was, is there an unadulterated version of Manu Smriti? I think you already pointed us to the the version of Manu Smriti by Surendra Kumarji. So for those who are interested, they can get that. It's actually, there's a link on the chat box. If anybody's interested, you can please go and copy and paste that link to find it. We have one other question about not speaking the unpleasant truth. I wonder if everyone practices that, then who will speak the unpleasant truth?
I was expecting this question. It is like that. If a person is handicapped, he is not having any leg. You are not going to say him that you are handicapped. This is the unpleasant truth actually. If a person is blind, you will not say him you are a blind. If a kids fail in exam, you will not say him you are a failure, you are a big failure. You will appreciate him that saying, don't worry, do again the effort, and next time you will pass the exam. This is the how the shlok interpreted. And you ask him, what about the unpleasant truth? If that also is required, but required in different sense. Like if a father, he can say to his son that you are going to a wrong way, you are taking drugs, or you are not serious in your studies and everything. He can say, a father can say to his son, that is a unpleasant truth, but it should be said. So it depends on the circumstances. It depends on mainly on the motive actually. What is your motive? Your motive is to insult the other person, or to give him a favor by preventing him to go on the wrong path. This is how we differentiate. So what is your motive? That is the answer. So how is this is how your doubt is explained.
Yeah, your intention.
See the motive.
That's correct.
Yeah, what is your intention? Why you are speaking? You are speaking to insult any other person, or you are speaking for his betterment? In this way, this shloka is.
Right. Actually, ahimsa is also, that's one form of ahimsa, when you create a bad vibe or bad feeling for somebody else in a similar way. Right. One other question. How do you explain to the non-believer that Manu Smriti should be followed? He's particularly interested in meat eating. How to tell those who think it's okay?
Nice question. Meat. What about meat eating? You have to explain in the different aspects: economic aspects, health aspect, scientific aspect, environment aspect, and scripture aspect. Today we have talked only about the scripture aspect only. This is a multi beneficial actually. It is on your convincing power. How do you put the scientific facts that meat is not good for the body? That is about medical benefits. Economic aspect, you have to say. Environment, how the meat eating is causing global warming, and all that aspect we can say. Means the multi-dimensional approach is important in explaining any facts. If you correlate them with the day-to-day science and its advancement, then you are better able to convince him. Not just scriptures exam. We have talked here only about scriptures, but today in day-to-day life, along with scripture, we have to give the scientific basis also. That will be more effective and better explain the.
Thank you. Unless there are any other questions, I don't see those in the chat box. We want to thank you, Dr. Vivek Arya ji, for such a wonderful explanation of the main facets of Manu Smriti and clarifying a lot of doubts that many of our audience had. Thank you. I would like to request Acharya ji to close it with the Shanti part or Gayatri Mantra.
So please everyone turn your video on to congratulate Dr. Vivek Arya ji and make a clapping. Yeah. So thank you again, Dr. Vivek Arya ji. Thank you everyone for being here. Today is third day. Tomorrow will be the concluding fourth day. And our speaker will be Dr. Suchi Khoshla. and she's going to talk about the anxiety and depression and how to treat it based on the Vedic scriptures. That's most important thing. So please join tomorrow also, same time, 7:30 to 8:30, same link. So now please join with me for the Shanti Path. ॐ द्यौः शान्तिरन्तरिक्षं शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्ति रापः शान्तिरोषधयः शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिर्विश्वे देव शान्तिर्ब्रह्म शान्तिः सर्वं शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सा मा शान्तिरेधि ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति